Hey guys, so today we're going to make a foldable for our notes, and we are going to start looking at what are the evidences of a chemical change. So these are things that we look for in a chemical reaction to see if the substances are going through a chemical change, is something new being created. So what you're going to need are 3 pieces of plain paper, a stapler, eventually I'll be sending that around, and then you need something to write with. So the first thing you're going to do with these 3 pieces of paper is you can start with one. And how we're going to stack these is you're going to take the second piece and you're going to lay it on top of the first piece, but you're going to leave a tab at the bottom. So if you can see, it's kind of hard to show in the video. Here's my second piece of paper and my first piece of paper. I want just about that much room in between the 2 pieces. Then you're going to do the same thing with the third piece of paper on top of the second, again leaving the same amount of space. So now we've got third piece of paper, second piece of paper, and the first. So you can see they're kind of going on top of each other, but we're leaving some tabs. So then what you're going to do is you're going to grab the top of the paper, all 3 sheets, and you are going to fold them over. Again, trying to make this tab right here about the same size as the other ones. That looks good. Come to the top and crease it. And it's okay if, ooh, mine's a little crooked, that's okay. See, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if your top layer is a little bit wider than your other ones. So here's what it should look like. So I've got my top tab, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and the bottom one makes 6. I'm actually going to try to fix this just a little bit. That's fine. Okay. So then with the stapler, if you don't have it immediately, it's okay. It's not a huge deal. You are going to staple 2 at the top to attach all 3 sheets together. There's a staple there and a staple there. That way they're not going to fall apart. Okay, so I actually already have one made that I'm going to switch out that already has some writing in it. So on this very top layer, this is where our title is going to go. And so what we're writing notes over is evidences of a chemical change. So that's our title here. Evidences zoom in for you. Evidences of a chemical change. Evidences of a chemical change. Okay, so that's your very top tab. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, and we actually have 5 evidences of a chemical change. So what this is going to do for you is to let you know whenever we're doing an experiment or if one's being described to you, we're going to look for 1 or 2 or even more of these evidences to let us know for sure, yes, a chemical change happened, and here's how I know because this is what I observed. So the first one is permanent color change. So leave all the flaps down, and right here, just on this space for the second tab, is where you're going to write our first evidence, which is permanent color change. So permanent is the important word here because a color change is really just a physical change. If it's a permanent color change, then that's giving us a little bit more evidence that we may be having a chemical reaction or a chemical change happening here. So under each of these tabs, I'm going to give you some questions to ask yourself. Is that something that you observed? And if it's a yes, then there's a piece of evidence. And if it's a no, then you're going to keep going and looking for other ones. So you're going to flip this first tab up, and I already have this written here just to kind of save time on the video. So I want you to pause the video right now, copy this down, and then we're going to talk about it once you push play. So the first question is, does the substance or do the substances experience a color change that is permanent? Now, I put a star by this because this is important. This piece of evidence cannot be used alone. It must be paired with at least one other evidence piece. So if permanent color change is the only piece of evidence you see, you can't be certain that that's a chemical change. Permanent color change needs to be paired with one of the other four that we're about to talk about. So in case you needed this zoomed in a little bit, does the substance or do the substances experience a color change that is permanent? This piece of evidence cannot be used alone. It must be paired with at least one other evidence piece. So then to move on to the second one, we're going to close this tab. And so now we're going to the third tab down, the one below permanent color change. And our next piece of evidence we're going to be looking for is production of gas. So is a gas produced? So we are looking for production of gas. Production of gas. And then here's the questions that we're going to be asking ourselves. So we're going to take the permanent color change flap and flip it up. So here's the questions we're going to ask ourselves. And again, I want you to pause the video and make sure that you get this written down. So you can go ahead and pause it right now. Okay. Does the reaction create or release an odor? Remember that an odor means a smell. Odors and smells are forms of gas. They're not solids, they're not liquids. So if you are noticing an odor or a weird smell coming from your chemical reaction, then that's a sign for us that a gas is being produced. The second question you can ask yourself is, does the reaction create bubbles or bubbling? Bubbles are formed from gases inside of liquids being released. So if you see bubbles or there's bubbling, then that's a really good indication for you that a gas is being produced during this chemical change. So we're going to close this tab. And on the 1, 2, 3, 4th tab down below production of gas, we're going to write our next piece of evidence, which is production of light. See, this is why you want it stapled so that these aren't all moving around. So production of light. Then we are going to flip the production of gas tab up. Production of light. So this is a pretty straightforward question that you can ask yourself. Go ahead and pause it right now and get this copied down. So whenever you're watching a chemical reaction happen, you're looking for signs of chemical change. Does the reaction produce a flash of light? If light is produced, that's a pretty good piece of evidence also that a chemical change is happening, this release of energy. So we're going to flip this down. We are on to the 4th piece of evidence, and it's going to be our 5th tab down, and that's going to be change in temperature. Change in temperature. And I will zoom in on the word temperature in case you need help spelling it. So now we are looking for a change in temperature. So here's the 2 questions we're going to ask ourselves. Take the production of light tab, flip it up. Oh, paper moved a little bit there. So here's your 2 questions. Pause the video and get these written down. So the first question you can ask yourself is, do the substances experience a decrease in temperature? We know that decrease means that the temperature gets lower. Or do the substances experience an increase in temperature? We know that increase means that the temperature gets higher. So if you can answer yes to either one of these questions, then that is a piece of evidence for you that there is a change in temperature happening, and so it is looking like that we are having a chemical change. So we can flip these down. We are on to our last piece of evidence. This is the one that has some vocabulary in it that we may not be super familiar with. So the last piece of evidence is, was there a production of a precipitate? So I will spell all of that for you real quick and then we'll talk about it. So production of a precipitate. And I will help explain to you what a precipitate is in just a second. Here's how you spell it. Okay, so here's the last questions that we are going to ask ourselves, and I'm going to show you what I'm covering up with my hand in just a second. So pause the video real quick, get this written down. So the question we're going to ask ourselves is, does a precipitate form from a solution? So that's our technical question, but what does this mean exactly? So I drew this arrow. So basically your question is, does a solid form from combining liquids? So precipitate means a solid, solution means a liquid. So if you mix two liquids together and then you observe a solid being formed, that's a very good indication. It's a piece of evidence that a chemical change is happening. You started with liquids, you made a solid, so there's definitely a new substance being made here. Now, these may be hard for you to remember since there's 5 of them, so we've come up with an acronym to help you. So I want you to go back to the front. And I want you to underline the C in color, the G in gas, the L in light, the T in temperature, and the P in precipitate. Now we came up with an acronym to help us remember these 5 evidences, and I went ahead and wrote them on the production of a precipitate evidence page, just because there's a bunch of room on this page. So here's how we remember it, is city girls love their phones. So the C is for color change. The G is for gas. Is there a production of gas? L is light. Was there a production of light? There, the T is for temperature. Was there a change in temperature? And the P is for a precipitate. Did you see a new solid form from a solution or from 2 liquids? So make sure you get this down. When you're done, come show all of this to me, and to make sure that you watched the entire video, I want you to put a little star right here on your paper. Come show this to me, and then we are going to get this glued into your notebook so that it does not get lost.